This week on the High Limit Room, Rico Abreu and Tony Stewart join forces. We have the second closest finish in High Limit racing history at Lawrenceburg, and the action on track is getting hot and heavy at the Four Crown Nationals. The points are extremely tight. We'll talk about all that and more on this week's edition of the High Limit Room. Coming to you live from Eldora Speedway. Welcome back to the High Limit Room. My name is Chase Rodman. This is Tony Laporta. Unfortunately, the viewer count on this video might drop. We don't have Brian Walker on the show this week, so we might not even want to post this one. But anyways.
Sorry, ladies.
Yeah, all the ladies are going to be mad. They're not going to be watching the show here this week. But Four Crown week, it's been good. We had a great race last night. Aaron Reitzel defeating Rico Abreu with just 2 laps to go on a restart. But before that, we've got some other things to talk about, Tony. Of course, one of the biggest announcements in the last 10 or 15 years in the sport with Rico Abreu and Tony Stewart Racing joining forces.
There you go.
Of course, I would say the biggest announcement in the last 20 years was Donnie Schatz leaving Tony Stewart Racing. But now, this announcement, I would say, rivals it. You've got the most popular sprint car driver, bar none, with Rico Abreu joining one of the most household names in all of motorsports, Tony Stewart, and they're joining High Limit Racing next year. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly, and I love how on Dirt Season 2, A Year with High Limit, Brian Walker has heard a bunch of times during the show talking about, you know, Rico Abreu is arguably the only driver that's bigger than sprint car racing, and so for him to go over to Tony Stewart Racing and climb behind the wheel of what will be a TSR number 24 and then contest Kubota High Limit, huge implications all the way around the sport come from that news. But just how cool is it? How cool is it for us at High Limit? How cool is it for fans of Tony Stewart and Rico Abreu? How cool is it for those two guys? They've been friends for nearly 15 years now. There's not a more genuine, more likable guy, I feel like, in the pits than Rico Abreu, why he's so popular, like you talked about. And if you're a fan of badass, honest-to-God race car drivers, you probably are doing backflips for this news, and I can't even do a cartwheel. Rico Abreu, Tony Stewart, 2 of the most real race car drivers this world's ever seen. They're joining forces. Rico driving for Tony. This is going to be a big deal.
Now, I'm not sure why they chose the Dale Jr. Download to unveil the news. They should have chose the High Limit Room.
Right.
But, you know, we do have a pretty good following compared to DJD. But anyways, yeah, huge monumental announcement taking place on Wednesday. And on that same night, Rico had a great afternoon, a great morning with the announcement, and had a great night as well by winning the Driven to Save Lives Battle at the Berg at Lawrenceburg. And, boy, what a finish it was. And we can't, mention this race without talking about Corey Day as well, who looked like he was going to win this race and was going 4 above the cushion compared to everybody else. He was making a lot of speed. He was fun to watch, and all I could read online was how crazy of a line he was running in 1 and 2. Took the lead, and unfortunately, under a red flag, a flame off the header, or off the headers.
Brakes,
yeah,
the brakes.
I think I was told it was the headers.
Okay.
Later on,
I heard a photographer saying brakes, but
yeah, I think it was the headers. Actually, were kind of shooting a flame out and melted the left rear tire.
Oh, you're right. It was out of the right. Yeah.
So, and then he had to go to the pit area. He would come back to 6th, but that would surrender the lead back to Rico, and then Aaron Reitzel, man, what a finish that was between him, Rico, and Dason Pursley, the second closest finish in High Limit Racing history.
You know what I love is, like, there's a clip that Flo put up of Tyler Courtney up in the booth with you, which, by the way, how great of a job has Tyler Courtney done?
Done great.
He provides great insight. You kind of passed it over to him for a replay. There was a wreck, and there was a slowdown, and you guys had a comp cams replay of what Corey was doing over in turn 1, and Tyler talks you through it as a driver, and he literally, like, runs out of words. He just goes, oh, I don't remember how he described it. He just goes, oh my God. Like, Tyler was made speechless by what he was watching Corey Day do. So I love listening to other race car drivers talk about Corey Day. Tony Gomes texted you and said maybe it was the left rear, the tire was melted, and that actually is what Corey ended up saying was the case. So, and then, Aaron Reitzel shot out of a cannon through 3 and 4 because Dason Pursley and Rico Abreu are running a little bit low to defend. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. High Limit has the most intense, most exciting sprint car racing action out there right now. When you see battles to the checkered flag like we have right now, and you see a championship battle like the one we have, nobody's got it as close as we do right now. I know the USAC Silver Crown race is pretty close, but right now in wing sprint car racing, High Limit has the action.
Yeah, it's not even close. Comparing to that championship battle, it's extremely close. We'll get into that more here in just a moment, but that finish between Reitzel and Rico was 26 1/1000th of a second at the line.
I've had relationships not last that long.
I've heard, several of them. The closest finish of all time was 12 1/1000ths of a second last year between Sweet and McFadden at 34 Raceway, so very close there. Dason Pursley, want to talk about him. His 3rd podium finish in a row there at Lawrenceburg. Justin Peck now has 5 top 5s in a row. He's on a heater right now as well. And, there was just a lot going on at Lawrenceburg. And I think you mentioned it to me off the broadcast was if I was to take somebody to their first ever sprint car race, I think Lawrenceburg would be the perfect place to take somebody and show them their first ever sprint car race because the action there is undeniable.
I'm blessed that I now live in Indiana and have been for the last couple of years, but the track is just littered, populated with great dirt tracks, and Lawrenceburg is one of those really great racetracks that happens to have a really great facility. I love going to Lawrenceburg Speedway. We're grateful that FloRacing provides such great coverage to fans all around the country and the world, but if you're in the state of Indiana, or this week, if you're in Ohio, if you're in the state we're coming to, you must come out. You got to be a part of it, because to see the action up close and personal and to experience the atmosphere and enjoy the facilities at a place like Lawrenceburg, or as a driver told me yesterday, you just can't beat the ambiance of Eldora Speedway. So Flo does a great job, but you got to come and experience them in person. Lawrenceburg's always going to be a track I feel that way about.
Now, 2 nights later, we ran yesterday here at the Four Crown Nationals for the NK Telco Four Crown Nationals, and a great feature ensued as well in that one. So we are coming to you before the feature on Saturday, and so we can recap Friday as well. Anthony Macri jumped out the early race lead, of course, picking up right where he left off at the Kings Royal, where he became the 42nd king of Eldora Speedway. Unfortunately, he lost the lead there midway through the race, and with 2 laps to go, had a huge wreck in turn 4, collected Parker Price Miller, and then that set up a 2-lap dash to the finish. And we mentioned it up there in the booth. Tyler Courtney, he said, Aaron Reitzel has to win this race if Rico Abreu does not, because, they were 24 points separated going into last night's feature. Now they're separated by 19, with Reitzel able to put a move on Rico, a fantastic restart, and did everything right to hold off Rico there coming to the checkered. Another banger of a race.
And then on the inverse, the complete opposite side of that great race for the lead, but still involving a championship contender, Brad Sweet makes the run right down behind the Whiskey Myers Victory Lane stage here before the feature even goes green. Sounds like a loose connection on the mag box underneath the hood of that Casey Kane Racing number 49, and Brad has to forfeit his original starting spot, has to come from the back, and then gets nabbed for jumping the original start, and the next closest stoppage of the race was going to be that red flag with 3 to go for Anthony Macri over in 3 and 4, and Brad finds out he's going to get docked 2 positions. Dayson Pursley gets nabbed at the finish, I believe, for a jumped restart. And so he goes from 9th to 11th. So the Eagle Eyes up in the booth with you and Tyler and Brian were watching everybody last night, and I love it because the scholars on the internet tell you it's rigged for Brad Sweet.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And high limit. They're
the owners.
They're going to do anything they can for Brad to win. Well, they got him. They nabbed him right there at the start, and they also didn't let him have his start spot back after coming in on the warm-up lap. So that's the kind of parity and openness and officiating that I love about our series right now, is it doesn't matter if it's the series owner or not. If you do something wrong, you're going to get called for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad Sweet would go on to run right around the top 10. He's now 56 points behind Rico, which for him, a 6-time champion, I don't think that's a deficit that he cannot overcome with what will be 8 races left going into tonight's feature. So going into tonight, Rico and Reitzel separated by 19 points. Brad Sweet, as I mentioned, 56 behind. This thing far from over, and it is just incredible to see all the storylines developing. Aaron Reitzel, I wanted to go through just a quick recap of what has happened to him. I've got it pulled up on my phone here. March 15th, first race of the year, obviously we know, gets hit in the face by a rock, breaks his nose at Las Vegas. Then March 22nd, a week later, he wins at Paris. Then, June 18th, make that July 18th, breaks his foot in a wreck here at Eldora, misses 7 weeks, comes back on September 5th, wins at Port Royal Speedway on crutches, and then 10 days later wins last night in his first trip back here to Eldora on crutches again. He's crying in victory lane. Complete cinema. There needs to be a movie made about Aaron Reitzel.
30 for 30.
Yep.
Big fan of the ESPN productions. Tyler Burnett could probably make something a little bit better than what we see on ESPN.
I agree.
But I said it in one of the victory lanes, probably back in Pennsylvania. Ridge and Sun Racing, number 87 season for me here in 2025 is going to be characterized by blood, sweat, tears, and thanks to Bartman, a few beers.
Yes.
So Aaron Reitzel is just like those guys I talked about at the beginning with you, Rico Abreu and Tony Stewart. Reitzel is a racer to the bone. He works on his stuff. He builds his stuff. He drives his own stuff, and he wins in his own stuff. He was very emotional here in Victory Lane, and that's how you know it means more than anyone else can understand to the driver from Clute, Texas. For us to get to be here and watch Reitzel doing what he's doing in his first trip back to National 410 Racing. I feel very fortunate to be so close and personal with it.
I mean, it shows right there, man, how determined he is to win this championship. He could easily just sit out for the rest of the year and have somebody else drive the car, but
Exactly.
he wants to win that championship more than anything. To wrap things up on the first night of Eldora here, Chase Randall, a podium run last night. I mentioned it on the broadcast last night that the last time he had made the dash, it was his best ever finish of the year. 4th place run at Lucas Oil Speedway 20 races ago. Last night he makes the dash and gets his best finish of the year with a podium run. It was great to see the quickest chicken get something good going in his life and get back on track here and hopefully build momentum going into tonight and the rest of the season.
Well, he's got something else good going on in his life. He shares a name with you.
He does, yeah.
He's a name brother. But
same initials. CR.
Yeah, and does
big.
he spell Chase the same way?
No, but I'm also the quickest rooster.
Hey,
so
and speaking of Randall's, really quick.
That was my nickname in high school.
The quickest rooster?
Yeah, that's your joke. But
I don't feel like you're very quick, and we could go a lot of ways with the rooster comment, but this is a family show.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll do it on High Limit Room after hours.
Okay.
But in that same breath of Chase, why are you backing away from me? Are you nervous?
You're scaring me.
Speaking about Chase Randall, his father, John Randall, I'm going to go ahead and award him the first ever Chase Bank Visa move of the race when John Randall looked down after Victory Lane was over and found my Chase Bank Visa Disney debit card sitting here in the dirt in the infield. After everything was wrapped up, he found it, sent me a quick little Snapchat. Yes, I'm friends.
He's a big Snapchat guy.
I'm friends on Snapchat with drivers' dads. Sorry about it.
Me too.
And so John Randall gets the first ever Chase Bank Visa move of the race by returning me my Disney debit card, which had probably $38 on it.
Which I'm just trying to figure out why you got a Mickey Mouse debit card in the first place. You're like 30 years old, but still loves Donald Duck and Tom and Jerry and all that good stuff. But that's kind of weird. But we'll save that for another after-hours show here with the High Limit Room. But I don't know what else to say about the weekend so far at Eldora. It's the best ticket in motorsports.
Yeah.
All 3 USAC divisions, high limit tonight, and it should be fun. It's great to have Brian Holbert up there as well, the USAC announcer. He does a great job. Tyler Courtney's up there giving us his insight as well. So looking forward to a good night.
And we do want to just send out our best wishes. We didn't know at the end of the broadcast what the status was on Anthony Macri, and we still don't know a ton. Sounding like some sort of back injury, perhaps, on the driver of the 39M. He did get up and get out of that race car, but was immediately taken to an ambulance. We catch some flack sometimes for not being able to give a comprehensive enough wrap-up on drivers. The fact of the matter is, folks, if we don't talk about it, it's because we don't know about it, and we never want to put out information we don't know. But Anthony was texting earlier today, going back and forth with people, so he is okay. He is alert. Everything there is good, but an injury that we don't know the exact terms of yet, but we know he won't be here tonight. So we are thinking of Anthony Macri. Glad he's okay for the most part, and when we know more, we certainly will pass it along to you folks. We're not keeping secrets here, High Limit.
So that's all we've got from the Friday and the Wednesday portion of this week's show on the High Limit Room. We will recap tonight's race, but before that, let's listen to Ricky Warner as he returns to Tony Stewart Racing for 2026.
Big news in the sprint car racing world these last couple of days, and as always, and rightfully so, it centers around the driver. But we in sprint car and any kind of racing know it's not just about the driver, it's about the team. Well, for a very long time, Ricky Warner has been a part of the team. He's been the backbone to many championship-winning programs. These days, you're doing that for Rico Abreu. Let's just talk about that first. How enjoyable has it been these last couple of years to work with a guy like Rico, young, exciting, seems to have a great level of professionalism? What do you get out of working with Rico Abreu, Ricky?
Yeah, when we went there, a couple years ago, he's a super positive person. And, the atmosphere is different than, like what I was doing at TSR as far as, once you win all the championships and stuff, everything gets pretty tense. So it was a good change of pace for me and kind of watch him, been with him to help him work on his maturing as far as race car driver and the way you race for points and stuff like that. It's been really fun.
And I think it was the 2023 National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, Team of the Year is what you guys were awarded at our race at Eagle last summer in 24. So I'm just curious, how does that discussion happen? How does Rico Abreu and Ricky Warner, how do they come together? Rico reach out to you? Were you looking to get back on the road? I mean, how did the initial connection happen?
He reached out to me, and I was having some stuff going on with my cancer as far as treatments and stuff like that, and I needed to be, home more, and I really couldn't commit to an outlaw thing. An outlaw thing wouldn't have been right because I'd be gone so much. So it kind of was a good thing for him and a good thing for me. That way I could be home more and and be able to do my treatments.
Okay, so kind of born out of necessity, and you guys have had 2 really good years, or wrapping up a second really good year, full-time national tour with Kubota High Limit. I always get a kick out of the fact that Rico hasn't chased points with a series since, like, I think 2017 when he was in the NASCAR trucks. With you, with whoever he's been racing with, it's always been a pick-and-choose schedule. So these last 2 years, having a full-time program, chasing high-limit points, how difficult's that been? How much fun has it been?
Yeah, I think, he has to change his driving a little bit. When you're picking and choosing, you can kind of let your balls hang out and, run around there like you want to. When guys are points racing, they're more calculated on what they're going to do as far as, putting themselves in position where they'll take their car out. So, I think, that's part of maturing and knowing when to push and when not to push, but keep a steady pace that you have good finishes and win races.
Okay, so now let's get to the big news that broke back on Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon while we were in the pits at Lawrenceburg in Indiana. Rico Abreu is going to go drive for Tony Stewart Racing in 2026, and that program's going to go Kubota High Limit Racing. But it's not just Rico going over to Tony Stewart Racing. He's bringing his crew from the RAR 24. That's you on the wrenches. That's Zach Middlebrooks, and that's Brady Forbrook. What was that whole buildup like? That clearly didn't happen overnight. When did you start to become aware that this might become a reality for Rico to go drive for Tony?
Like a month before they announced it, he got us all together and talked about it. And if it was something we wanted to do as a team, I would have never thought going to work for Rico would wind me up back at TSR. But that here we are, and that's how things work in racing. So just have to make the best of it. We have a good opportunity to kind of join teams, so to speak, and stay on our program, our cars, our motors, our wheels, all of our stuff the way we do it with him, because he takes a kind of a special deal. So we got a good group of guys with Zach and Brady. We all get along good, all have the same level of intensity and taking it serious and wanting to win the championship.
And then on a personal level, you just kind of alluded to it and joked about it. You never thought going to work for Rico Abreu Racing would lead you back full circle to Tony Stewart Racing. We were just talking off camera. You kind of caught me up on some of the behind the scenes, the early days. You and Donnie worked together before he ever went to drive for Tony. You go along with him to TSR like you're going along with Rico to TSR. So what's it like for you to go back to that shop in Brownsburg?
Really, it's not really any different. I mean, we're still friends with everybody over there. We stay in touch. I talk to Tony, talk to Misha, talk to Todd. Even Knoxville still talk to Don and stuff like that. It never was a bad thing. I just, when I left the first time, I couldn't give 100% to that deal, so I had to figure out something else to do and still provide for my family. But I think going back's a good opportunity. It's good for Rico. It's a big thing to him. To go over and race with Tony, and the guys are wound up about it. So it's only as good as you make it. So if we're all positive about everything and we get the race car going and stuff, it'll be fun.
Okay, and then probably the most important question that I don't think anyone's really asked yet, and this is what kind of I imagine this whole deal hinges on. TSR is a professional program. Brady Forbrook, is he gonna have to wear a polo next year?
He'll probably have to put a shirt on during the races.
Hey, Ricky, thank you so much for talking to us. It's always so cool to learn from you. And best of luck chasing this championship the rest of 2025.
Thank you very much.
That's Ricky Warner, one of the best to ever do it in National 410 Wing Sprint Car Racing. He and Rico Abreu are still chasing a Kubota High Limit championship here in 2025.
Here, winner of the Four Crown Nationals is Rico Abreu. Off the top, nice catch from Zach Middlebrooks.
All right, coming to you from the storage closet here in the Eldora Speedway Media Center after the race is over at the Four Crown Nationals with Kubota High Limit Racing. The Silver Crown race is still going on out there on the racetrack right now. Chase Rodman, Tony Laporta, of course, going to break down what we saw in this feature tonight. Tony, it's not your birthday, but you've got a nice little assortment there.
It is going to be Misha's birthday tomorrow. If you've ever been to Eldora Speedway or done anything with Tony Stewart Racing, you know Misha. She is awesome. They were celebrating her birthday tonight in the Media Center. Tomorrow, Sunday at Four Crown, it's her birthday. Misha, from all of us, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Misha, and we'll give you a spin on the wheel. You might as well, right? I don't know why.
That's really loud.
That is loud. Anyway, tonight's feature was good. We had an interesting front row with Aaron Reitzel, of course, off the win last night. Tanner Thorson next to him. But early on in that feature, Cy Lynch looked like he was maybe going to jump up there and lead some laps, which would have been big for him. He slipped back late in the race, but still, he got up there and was mixing things up.
Yeah, I was really excited and a little nervous because Aaron Reitzel's leading early, right?
Yeah, that
and
was,
then,
yeah.
And then here comes the 42, and I'm thinking, Chase, we're going to have a hoedown, throwdown.
Do want to put well wishes out there to J.J. Hickle as well. We did see him climb out of his car. Had a big flip down there in turn number 4. But anyways, Rico Abreu comes out with the win. And it was interesting because last night, Aaron Reitzel passed him with 2 laps to go and stole the win away. Tonight, it was Rico tracking Reitzel down and stealing the win late in the race. So kind of a little, a little flip around from the day before.
Retribution.
Yep,
Some might
retribution,
say.
payback.
If you saw his post-race interview yesterday when we got over there to talk to him, I mean, you would have thought the guy just lost the Indianapolis 500, right, or the Daytona 500. But that's what Eldora means to Rico, right? So he wears it constantly. And even though it was tough to see him like that, wow, it's because this guy loves this place so much. So, yeah, for Rico to turn around and go right back after the guy who took it from him last night, I mean, he was elated in victory lane. He jumps out of that race car, jumps off the top.
You would have thought it was a 6-figure payday the way he jumped out of it.
And a photographer, I hate that I don't know the gentleman's name, but he stopped me after the victory lane. He said, that's what I love about Rico, is he doesn't just go through the motions. He
gets
loves
excited,
it. He loves this.
Yep.
And he said that in his interview. He loves this place. He loves these fans. And Tyler Burnett does not love that light.
Now, that light has had some serious issues here on the Highlander Room on the go.
They got to buy him a mount for that.
Yeah, I think we might be able to afford some kind of mount, I'm sure,
You could.
here at FloRacing. But, who ran second tonight was Giovanni Scelzi, his best run in the 7BC for Clausen Marshall Racing. The best run he's had since the first night out at Tulare Thunderbolt a few weeks back in California. A second-place effort for him, a much-needed second place. And I'm not kidding you, Tyler Courtney might not have said much during the feature, but he was up there, making all kinds of hand motions and stuff. He was into that feature watching the 7BC make its way up through the field.
Well, and people who watched the broadcast yesterday hopefully saw my hit where I talked about before the feature. Scelzi told me they had a come-to-Jesus meeting. He and Jake Argo, I believe Tim Clausen was involved in, probably Bobby, probably Ron. What I didn't know until today was Tyler Courtney was also involved in that team meeting with fill-in driver Giovanni Scelzi, and they all put their heads together. And the real thing they covered was, here's what I mean when I say this, as Giovanni Scelzi said. This is what I mean, Jake, when I say this to the crew chief, Jake Argo. This is what Tyler might like in his race car. This is what I like in my race car. And when both of us come in and say, we want X, well, that might mean something completely different for Tyler Courtney than it does for Giovanni Scelzi. So right. Gio was very happy. He thought he and the crew did a good job at beginning to sort of get back to where they were at California. And tonight, I think they took a huge step in doing that.
Yeah, they certainly did after kind of having the backup beepers on last night. Fell back to 8th, but tonight a second-place run was much needed for them. And another 2 guys I want to hit on here is Ashton Torgerson, 21st to 4th. At one point in time was in the 3rd position. His best career Highlander Racing finish, and we mentioned it on the broadcast several times. The 1A knows how to get around the bottom here at Eldora Speedway. And the best part about it was not only did he come 21st to 4th, but the night before, yesterday, absolutely yard sailed it. Come out with a backup car and do what he did tonight. Very impressive.
Well, let's see that results page on your phone really quick, because if it weren't for results page on your phone.
Not my keys?
Keys, what are you talking
sorry,
about? Let's see the results page on the My Race Pass page on your phone here, because if it weren't for Ashton Torgerson doing as well as he did, I think it would have been this driver we were talking about, the Florida man, Danny Sams, going 19th to 8th.
Oh, yeah.
After we caught up with him in the pits live. There's your phone back. I don't want to have that in my hands too long.
Yeah.
Danny Sams just has a banner night for him, and this place is big, fast, and intimidating. And for Danny Sams and his family, because that's his team, his mother and his father, they have picked up some help recently. These last 2 nights, I think he just missed out on a top 10 last night, 12, and then a finish inside the top 10. Man, late in the season, that's something those guys needed really, really badly. Super cool to see that for Sams.
Yeah, nice job by him. And the other guy I wanted to mention here was Justin Peck, who now has 5 straight top 5 finishes. They had a really good beginning of the year. Then they kind of in the middle, they kind of fell off a little bit. They were struggling left and right. The engine program wasn't quite there. But here recently, 5th tonight, 5th last night, both nights at Lernerville, got a 5th there in the Tuscarora 52nd place run there. Those guys, and then 2nd place at the Skagit. I mean, this last 3 weeks has been very, very good for that team.
Yeah, and Justin, when you think about it, for the wrong reasons, We've talked to him a lot with those second place finishes, right reasons, wrong reasons, but he's always bummed out, right? Because whether it was Skagit, whether it was the weekend before, or no, his run started in Skagit and then he ran well in Pennsylvania. But it felt like every Saturday for a couple weeks, to me, it felt like we were talking to a distraught Justin Peck after running second. I give him a lot of crap, but his crew chief, Tyler Tessemaker, is just like this, right? He's level all the time.
You don't get much emotion,
He doesn't seem to get too low, but he doesn't seem to get too high, and that's good right now for that team. Kevin Rudin wants to win, and he's going to continue to funnel resources towards that number 26 to get them where they need to be. Tyler Tessemaker is going to do his best to stay right here and make smart decisions for that crew and that car, and Justin Peck's going to continue to just get in it and throttle it up, right?
Yep.
And that's a good combination, I think, right now.
Yeah, and now to cap things off here, Rico extends his points lead in both the drivers and the owners' standings. Brad Sweet ran 6th tonight, and Aaron Reitzel was 3rd, so he gained, 9 points in the owners' points and a lot more in the drivers' points as well. So Rico extending the lead out with 8 races to go. Still a lot can happen. We're going to some interesting tracks, which is where I wanted to turn our attention to next. 1 week from today on Saturday, the Bridgeport Motorsports Park in New Jersey, and then the next night on a Sunday, it's the Path Valley Speedway Park. And what's interesting about both those places is really nobody has a huge notebook. It's nothing like Eldora. It's nothing like Lernerville or Port Royal. These are 2 tracks that don't host a ton of 410 wing sprint car racing, so it could be a huge unknown weekend, which could shake things up a little bit.
You and I both went to Bridgeport during our time with the Outlaws. I've been to both Bridgeport and Path Valley with USAC non-wing sprint cars, and both of those are going to be really cool stops. Again, I don't really care if people get sick of hearing it. This is one of the things that makes high limit racing great, is it's the fact that as a series, we don't go to the same 5 or 6 tracks 7, 8, 9 times a year. Our series is more than 4 or 5 marquee tracks.
You mean like four tracks, 26 races?
Something like that.
Yeah, okay.
And the fact that we're going to go to Bridgeport and Path Valley, places like you said, where drivers and teams that at least are full-time with us aren't going to have notebooks this thick. That's how shakeups in the championship happen. I know a lot of people might not think our championship's very exciting right now.
Somehow.
With 5 or 6 teams and drivers fighting for the title in the owners and the drivers' point standings. But I think it is exciting. And Path Valley is going to be just absolutely Talladega is one of those toss-up races in NASCAR. For the exact opposite reason, how small, how tight, how narrow Path Valley is, that's going to be one of those tracks where these teams are like, man, what do we do here? I'm really excited for a Sunday showdown at Path Valley.
Yeah, I think Path Valley could be the great equalizer. You don't have to have a gigantic engine to get around that place and contend up front. So, great weekend here at the Four Crown Nationals. We're going to head out the door and check out the end of the Silver Crown race. But once again, another fantastic weekend of racing with Kubota High Racing. We'll do it all again Saturday and Sunday at Bridgeport Motorsports Park and Path Valley as well. Make sure to watch on FloRacing. If you cannot make it there, tickets are still available right now on HighLimitRacing.com for both of those events. For Tony Laporta, my name is Chase Rodman, and hopefully next week we'll see Brian Walker. We'll have to wait and see if he still has a job. But we'll see you guys next week here on the High Limit Room.